Hello, my name is Stephanie Fritsch. I am one of 44 elected transgender woman officials in America. Um, this is some ideas that I have, hopefully to help people navigate what's going on in America today in the LGBTQI plus community. First, we should establish a network of safe houses all over the country for LGBTQI people to go, and especially transgender people to go, especially nowadays what's happening in the current political landscape. Um, I would strongly suggest you contact your local officials, contact your county officials, and contact your governor's office, and just say, look, we need safety here. What can you do to protect the LGBTQI community in your state? So what I had an idea was, every county should have a safe house for people who need to feel safe, from, to unwind, gather and regroup. I'm not talking a LGBTQ community center. I'm talking a house that can house people, maybe for a couple of days, maybe weeks, or even months, to help protect the community. It's been my idea for a while now. We are in uncertain times nowadays. The transgender community, we don't hurt anyone. Most people in the transgender community don't want to hurt anyone. All right. Transgender people just want to live and survive and be able to live their authentic life the best as they can with what they have. So I would think that if you want to be county officials and state governors and all that want to be proactive, they should help set up these safe houses for people to be able to live in, temporarily or whatever, so they don't have to worry, like, I am not talking an encampment. I am talking places for us to go, that would let us relax and just be ourselves for a moment, because there's so many people out there that are scared, going through their lives, navigating everything that's going on nowadays is overwhelming for so many people, so I'm contacting government officials, commissions, and all that, with my idea. I've already sent a few emails out about it. And the bottom line is, like, people like us need to survive. People like us need to live. People like us need to, like, live our lives authentically to the best of our abilities, right? We don't need to be under attack. We don't need to be persecuted. America was based on an escape from persecution. America was based on, people being able to live their lives, with religious freedoms, with a bunch of freedoms that, unfortunately, a lot of places in America, transgender people don't have anymore. And LGBTQI don't have either. So, like, as I said, like, I'm doing this broadcast now just so I can get it out to the world in an early moment, right, as best as I can. And just remember, you know, please, please remember, if you fear, we got to figure out how to overcome that on a daily, right? We have to figure out within ourselves how we can stay safe. There are many trans people who had privilege or were lucky who like left the country already. There's so many other trans people, LGBTQI, non-binary folks who can't even afford to leave. You know, to them, call your state lawmakers, call your representatives, and demand a safe house that's protected, you know, secure, for a place so you can regroup and just like relax for a moment. I know this is like a hard thing to think about, you know. The transgender community has been the scapegoat to the current administration. And I take that personally. I'm a transgender woman who has a right to be here. I'm a transgender woman who pays taxes. I'm a transgender woman who does everything, you know, to support, you know. It just like, people just don't understand, you know. I don't respond to hate. You know, I'm just saying, look at, there are people who, you know, need help nowadays. All right. There's so much hate out there. It's being spewed online every day. Misinformation, intimidation, harassment happens online every day. It happens to me, but you know what? I am still living my life the way I see fit. You know, it is just gonna be a long fight for us to like understand and get through what's going on with America today. All right. So if we can get our lawmakers to actually help, you know, like protect us. Their job is to protect us. All right. Law enforcement's job is to protect us. It is not to harass us, incarcerate us, or put us in camps, or put us in other places. Their job is to protect and serve we the people. The Constitution of America says, you know, we the people. That means everyone who lives in America, not just a certain few. All right. Every trans woman has a right, innate right, to live in a happy place. You know, every trans person has a right to live a life that's productive. You know. And another thing, if you see this, if you're a Republican, conservative, you know, who don't understand, okay, this is to the fiscal conservatives who are watching this podcast, whatever you call it. If you're proactive with if you want to say tax dollars, I would strongly suggest y'all get behind doing real gender affirming care for the transgender community. You know why? It costs about $2,000 a day to keep someone in a psychiatric hospital. All right. So let's say a trans woman completely has stress or whatever and needs to go to one of those hospitals to get, you know, like, you know, whatever. That'll cost, like, for 30 days, that'll be like $60,000, right? So if you take that money and do proactive, like care, like, bottom surgery, top surgery, or whatever, you know, that'll save money in the long run in a major way. That'd be a one-time expense, not a constant expense. All right, and we have to understand that, you know, if you are under attack, if you are harassed online like I am every day, we have to realize that we're strong. If you're the LGBTQI, especially the transgender community, you have to be strong nowadays. Actually, every time. So I would strongly suggest you contact your lawmakers and demand like a safe house network in your state, in every county. If we do this statewide, we'll be okay. All right. As I said before, I've already sent emails to certain lawmakers and representatives about my idea. You know, just and I would strongly suggest you do that. Just write a freaking email and send it out to a lawmaker or whatever. Call them. Go to a political event. All right. Here's another way we can do this. Okay, folks. We could bird dog them, right? Which means you go to a political event where there's an elected official, and you ask them the tough questions and put them on record on what they're going to be doing to protect the transgender community, on what they're going to be doing to protect the LGBTQI community, and what they're going to be doing to protect women and women's rights to their own bodies, okay? This is going to be a long fight, but we got to be able to hold together, folks. Look at me. I'm still here. After a long time, hundreds of thousands of hate messages on my social media posts, and you see them every day. But I'm telling you, folks, I'm here. I will never back down to anyone. I belong in the United States of America. I was born in America. My father fought for America. And people, united we stand and divided we definitely fall. And I think we all need to get together and figure out how we can protect your LGBTQI neighbors or trans folks. Okay? What can you personally do to help someone? Lend out a couch in your house. I've done that. And just remember that, every little bit helps. This is going to take a community of people other than LGBTQI to make happen. So, I'm doing what I can to protect the transgender community and the LGBTQI community. The LGBTQI plus community, okay? And the bottom line is we got to be strong. We got to remember that America is based on the principle of escaping like a religious persecution. That's really happening to a lot of people nowadays, especially the trans community. We're being persecuted. It's out there every day, especially in Washington, D.C. right now. And people who just are doing that should not persecute people like me. They should rejoice in people like me, because you know why? Because transgender people are strong. Transgender people belong to be here. Transgender people, in the LGBTQI community belong to be here, just like everyone else. I should not have to walk out my door in fear every day. I should be able to walk out with pride, knowing that I help my community. I volunteer. I defend poor people in a public manner. I've been on the media multiple times talking about important issues that affect other communities that are cisgender, and I'm a poor person, economically, but I'm willing to get on the media, willing to get on social media and express my opinion, express what's going on with me, because I know many other people that deal with a similar situation that I deal with, and we got to remember, we got to be strong. We got to help our neighbors, because America used to be held together hard, okay? And we gotta do protect the people who need protecting now. You know, I'm a trans I'm a trans person who lives in a valley of the Appalachian Mountains in Pennsylvania. Okay, conservative people, but I still try to help them in the best way as I can, because the fact of the matter is, you know, education and acceptance comes by one conversation at a time. Education and acceptance comes by people realizing that like the transgender community is trying to help them too. You know, like I do. You know, we got to remember that we have to be strong. We have to love ourselves, and we got to be able to care for ourselves and others to make things better for our neighbors, if, even though they're different than us, right? You know, if you're a parent, you should be teaching love and acceptance, not hate and disinformation. You know, and like, people just have to understand that the transgender community has been around for as long as humans been around. Okay, you know, I know you don't believe, if you don't believe in scientific facts, but you know what? Empirical evidence and actual facts, and also archaeological digs, have found that the transgender population has been here before the Bible was even written. Okay, we're gonna be here. We're always gonna be here, and we will never be erased. Now, and we have to be strong, and we gotta hold on, and we gotta help our neighbors, and we gotta be able to speak out. You know, yes, I'm in jeopardy, and I know that, but I'm still strong. I'm still speaking out. I'm still trying to do the best I can on limited resources I do receive. You know, and like, there's so many people in America that are hurting. All right, you know, they might have voted. So like, like, we just gotta figure out how to get America back to where it used to be, or whatever. You know, at least a little bit more united. You know, and I just don't like the fact that the matter is that my community, the trans community, is being used as a scapegoat in Washington D.C. now in a really public way. You know, there have been anti-trans laws enacted all over the country against my community for what? We're not trying to hurt anyone. You know, the average trans woman does not want to hurt anyone. The average trans person just wants to live their lives that other people take for granted, without fear, without retribution, of being ourselves authentically. You know, this is me, without makeup, without filters, having a really interesting, having a conversation with you, having a talk with you, having, like, trying to tell you that I am not here to hurt people. I am here to help people, and I have dedicated my life to do that, in and out of the trans community, just like many other people have done that. All right, and we have to remember that. I want America to be strong, just like you do. But strength in America was based on diversity of multiple cultures and people from other lands to make us strong, right? That's why America became a powerhouse in the first place. All right. I am just here for a short time. Literally, I don't have that much long life left in me. I'm 61 years old. I'm realistic to a fault, knowing that I have physical situations that I probably won't have a long life, and I know that. So I'm trying to maximize my life to the best of my ability right now. Like everyone else should do that, right? You should be celebrating diversity. You should be celebrating people like me. You should be celebrating the LGBTQI, because you know why? Because that's the right thing to do. All right. You know, no one should attack people because of, because of political ideology. You know, I'm here, like many other trans women who can't even leave America. Say, you know what? I have drawn my, I've had a line in the sand. I'm in my house right now. Yes, a house I fully own. Yes, there's a trans woman who owns a house without a mortgage. Okay? I still struggle. Taxes, school taxes, putting kids in school, and all that, contributing to society. I am not a burden on society. I contribute to society on a daily, okay? And just remember that. Like trans women, men, non-binary, and LGBTQI contribute to society. So why don't you let them live without fear and be able to enjoy life? It just is. I just don't understand how someone could be full of hate without even knowing a trans person, without even having a conversation. And we need to have those conversations, like it or not, even if they're difficult or not. Okay? And as I said before, we have to figure out how to set it or have like a network of safe houses for people. All right? People that need to survive, meet people who need to live, meet people who need to feel safe for a minute, right? Because that's more needed now than ever. All right? I'm not talking about an internment camp. That's the other. That's not even in my mind, right? And remember that I'm here trying to help other people other than transgender people, other than people in the LGBTQI. I advocate hard and strong every day for poor people. I do that publicly, on social media, regular media, and all that. I stand up and try to fight hard for them too. I'm just not I don't pigeonhole myself to one thing or another. I care about people. And there's so many other trans people that care about people that are being persecuted now for no reason at all. I just want to live. I just want to have a great life. I don't want anybody to try to dictate how I live my life. Because that is not freedom. America is based on freedom. The American flag and we the people. And not force anybody's religions on anyone. Religion should not be used as a weapon like it has been. And people just don't understand that. So I do what I do. It's the best, as I said, unlimited resources. I don't make a lot of money. I have to pay taxes. I have to keep my car on the road because where I live, there's no public transportation. And I've been fighting for that for a long time as well. Where I live, we have to pay all these taxes now. Taxes are increasing, people. Food costs are increasing. Cost of living is going up out of control, but people are not making more money. In fact, a lot of people are losing their health care. They're losing their SNAP benefits. They won't be able to feed their children. If they get sick, they're going to end up losing their houses because of they'll have to go bankrupt. Medical expenses are expensive. I know. I deal with a lot of them, right? So we got to remember that I am just here for a short time. And I want to make the best of that time that I have, and I do that on a daily basis. I'm strong. I'm resilient. I've been through a lot. Just like any other trans woman in America today. We need to have conversations. If you don't like a trans person, have you ever spoken to one in a way that you didn't put your issues into the conversation? Huh? Have you? If not, you should. And don't use religion as a weapon. Because religion is meant to bring people together and heal people. and unite them. All right. And it's like I live every day in the fact in the knowledge that there's people that don't like me. In fact, there's a group on Facebook in my area that have formed a group against me. Okay, I get that. You know, quite honestly, they're wasting their time and their effort and their energy. You know, trying to come after me because you know what? I'm not leaving. I'm not moving. I'm not budging. I own a piece of America. I own my house without a mortgage. The bank doesn't own it. I pay taxes to support children until they can go to school. So we can have roads. So we can have all that, right? You know, so, ah, so please remember, see if you can help set up a safe house network in your area by calling your lawmakers, contacting nonprofit organizations, and just put the word out. We all need to be safe. We all need to not fear. And we all need to unite for a better America. America is not where I was born in 1960. Yeah, I was born in 1964. All right. I know what America used to be like. I lived it. But now America is not what I grew up with. It's not what my dad taught. It's not what my mom preached. We need to get back to that. We need to unite in a common goal to make our lives better, regardless of your community. You know, not fight people, not threaten them, not be mean to them, not harass them, not give them threats, because that's not good. I've received hundreds upon hundreds of harassing messages on the internet recently. But you know what? To those people, you're not gonna budge me. I'm going to continue to live my life to the best of my ability, on my own terms, and I will not hurt anybody in the process. In fact, I'll probably help a whole lot of people have better lives, which I've already done in a real way. So please remember that the transgender community and the LGBTQI community, we need our lives to be without fear or retribution or disingenuous negative commentary towards us. I've been through a lot. I will still continue to fight for what I think is right. Yeah. That's my ministry, really, is help other people. If you put it in that type of a context. You know, Google my name. You'll find out who I am. Put my name in AI, you'll find out who I am. You know, I am just one of many other transgender people or LGBTQI people in America today fighting for our rights to live. Just please remember that, folks. And if you're in the trans community, if you're in the LGBTQI community, remember I'm here with you. And we all should remember this. America, we need you back. We don't need all this stuff going on. We don't, and the trans community did not deserve to be a political scapegoat in Washington, D.C. or anywhere else in the country. yeah, I don't I don't put makeup on because I don't need to. But I know deep down that I'm female. Hear me roar. I know my gender identity. I know who I am. If that scares you, then do some thinking. I would suggest that. Okay. You know, I'm just so sick and tired of dealing with these people who like think that they know, and they try to use intimidation tactics that don't work on me. They don't. I've been through too much in my life. I've lived on the streets in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've seen more tragedy and violence than most people will ever, but you know what? I'm still here. Yeah, I'm still here. You know, and just remember, we just gotta get the job done. We just gotta figure out how to get America back to where it was, and instead of the new gilded golden age where the Trump family is making money hand over fist and other billionaires are taking our, country piece by piece. That's what we gotta remember, folks. Okay, we got this. We got the assignment. And if you're trans or LGBTQI, I would suggest you do some self-care. Do something for yourself for once. And that's all we gotta, you gotta do that because that's important too. I'm human. I'm not a freak of nature. Because there's so many flavors of humanity out there anyway, so I'm just one flavor. Okay? Yeah. I didn't shave really well today. I know I have bushy eyebrows, but I don't care. Because it's my life, it's not yours. It isn't at all. And just remember, I'll be here. Continuing to live my life authentically and as strong as I can to my dying day. And thank you very much for watching this. And please hug yourself and hug another person today if they allow you to do that, okay? And this is Stephanie Josephine Fritsch, and I'm signing off from this broadcast and hopefully giving you a little bit of things to think about today. Love ya! And I'm about to go out my door and do something joyous and free on my own terms. And have a great day. Bye-bye.